European globalists continue to shock the world with their unwillingness to admit their crushing defeat in the confrontation with Russia. The recent statement by representatives of the European establishment has once again proved that with all their actions, they are asking for a strike by the latest Russian Orshnik missiles against the countries of the European Union and Britain. And judging by what is happening, we are likely to witness such a missile strike. The recent statement by the head of European diplomacy, Kaja Kallas, that peace in Europe will come only after Russia's defeat on the battlefield, indicates not only the low intelligence of this ardent Russophobe, but also Europe's common position regarding its mutual relations with Moscow. My dear truth seekers, let me remind you that the head of European diplomacy called on Western countries to increase pressure on Russia both in the economic sphere and in the field of military assistance to Ukraine. According to her, the West should not be afraid of Moscow, since Russia is not a superpower, and the defeat of the Russian army is just around the corner. Furthermore, Kaja Kallas also stated that Russia should not only accept all the conditions of Ukraine and Europe, but also significantly reduce the size of its army. The head of European diplomacy noted that only after Moscow's surrender, the complete withdrawal of Russian troops from Ukraine's territory, and Russia's payment of reparations, will the long-awaited peace finally come to Europe. Well, my friends, as you can see, the European globalists are not complacent and refuse to admit defeat. The fact that they allow such intellectually undeveloped people to make such statements indicates that these warmongers will not rest until Russian missiles begin to destroy the NATO servicemen in Europe itself. By the way, on the morning of February 21, Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orbán harshly criticized the head of European diplomacy for such provocative statements. In particular, he again compared Kaja Kallas to Hitler and Napoleon, because of her desire to defeat Russia. In addition, Orbán admitted that Europe dreams of defeating Russia at the hands of Ukraine, and then demanding reparations from Moscow to return all the money that was spent on the Kiev regime. Yes, sadly, this is the case. Brussels still wants to defeat Russia on the battlefield. I won't comment on it. The only thing I want to say is that Hitler and Napoleon also tried to defeat Russia, but they suffered a crushing defeat. And now, Kaja Kallas wants to do what Napoleon and Hitler failed to do, Viktor Orbán said. Orbán also added that the strategy of European leaders towards Russia is wrong, and carries risks only for European countries. The head of Hungary claims that while European leaders are waiting for the collapse of the Russian economy, their countries themselves are rapidly approaching economic collapse. Meanwhile, war correspondents have published footage of the Ukrainian forces' retreat near Kupiansk. The footage clearly shows how the personnel of the Ukrainian army are crossing the frozen Oskol River, trying to escape from Russian drones. Reports indicate that it's precisely those Ukrainian soldiers who survived after 2 months at the front lines near Kupiansk. It is worth noting that the Ukrainian units are also retreating in Kupiansk itself. A few hours ago, it became known that the Russian army had completely knocked out Ukrainian units from streets such as Balniknaya, Karalenko, and Gogol. As a result, the Ukrainian soldiers located in the city faced the risk of complete encirclement. At the same time, it is reported that foreign mercenaries are also among these Ukrainian soldiers. Meanwhile, Russian experts have called for a missile strike on military bases and production facilities in Britain. In particular, commenting on the Ukrainian missile attack on the Udmurg Republic, where a factory for the production of Russian ballistic missiles is located, reputable war correspondent Alexander Sladkov said that now, according to the Russian defense concept, Moscow should launch a missile strike against Britain. According to Sladkov, the Udmurg Republic was attacked not only by drones, but also by Flamingo missiles, which are secretly assembled by British engineers from components manufactured at British weapons factories. At the same time, Western propaganda still claims that Ukraine allegedly created these missiles. My dear truth seekers, let me remind you that on the night of February 21st, Ukraine launched a combined strike on industrial facilities in the city of Votkinsk, in the Udmurg Republic. As a result, 11 people received injuries of varying severity. Furthermore, even though Ukraine claims that, in addition to aircraft-type drones, Flamingo missiles were also used in this attack, the Russian Defense Ministry has not yet confirmed this information. According to the Russian military, 77 drones were shot down over various regions of the country during this attack. At the same time, there is still no information about downed Ukrainian drones or missiles over the Udmurg Republic. Nevertheless, right after the attack on the Udmurg Republic, on the night of February 22, Russia launched a massive missile strike on the Kiev, Cherkasy, Dnipropetrovsk, Kirovograd, Sumy, Chernihiv, and Vinnytsia regions. It is reliably known that dozens of production facilities, energy objects, weapons depots, command posts, logistics hubs, and airfield infrastructure were destroyed during this Russian missile attack. In Kiev alone, 20 explosions were recorded. At the same time, sources have already confirmed a large number of victims not only among Ukrainian officers, but also representatives of NATO allied countries. However, it looks like this is just the beginning. Ukrainian monitoring services have again recorded abnormal activity at the Kapustin Yar test site. Right after that, the Ukrainian General Staff announced that Russia is preparing another launch of the Orshnik missile, and that at the moment, the Russian command is deciding which target would be attacked. According to the Ukrainian military, the risk of launching the Orshnik missile by Russia is higher than ever.